Whew, this has been a long series of videos. There's a lot of cool stuff at this auction, which starts tomorrow, I believe. So, I think it's time for me to go and do some of my own bids, and what? Really? Oh, shoot, I'm told we still have one day to do some video. So, well, let's see here. How about I still have a couple of these guys, which I've been trying to find out information on, and I haven't found squat. So I have one piece of data on these, and that is the guy who consigned them here is pretty sure that they are Iver Johnson prototypes. Now, I've never seen an Iver Johnson prototype anything like this, but the guy who consigned these generally knew a lot about what he had. So let's take a closer look at them. Well, these things certainly look unusual. Big overhanging backstrap, weird kind of placement on the trigger guard, but I'll tell you what, they feel actually really good in the hand. This just fits very well. It has little tiny sights like you'd expect for a 32, and by the way, these are both 32 ACP pistols. Clearly there's a recoil spring above the barrel. That's evident enough, and we can operate the action. That works nicely. Magazine is in the bottom with a heel release here. It's a well-made pistol. This magazine fits very smoothly. If we judge by the number of viewing holes, this would be an 8-round magazine. The most interesting mechanical bit of this pistol is actually on this side. There is a regular manual safety here, which is marked safe. Nothing on that side. But then there's this button, which is unusual. So I initially assumed that this little button was part of the disassembly procedure, because this other example has this wedge going through it, right kind of in the same area. So I looked at that and thought, well, we'll try that when it comes to taking the gun apart, but first, let's make sure everything works. And the trigger did nothing, totally dead. I went back and looked at this and thought, you know what, maybe that's not disassembly, because it just depresses a little bit, it doesn't seem to do much. I wonder if that's a grip safety. Sure enough, push that in, and then you can actually fire the gun. Striker fired, clearly, because there's no place for a hammer in there, as far as I can tell. And this is actually kind of like the very early grip safeties on the Smith & Wesson model of 1913. Those were abandoned because they realized that you had to be holding the gun right-handed in order to deactivate the grip safety. When you're left-handed, your trigger finger kind of just leaves that exposed. You could activate it, but not easily. And I wonder, it seems to me that whoever made this, whether it's Iver Johnson or someone else, had the same idea. It's interesting to note that on this second example, there is no grip safety like that on there, although there isn't any safety on here. Actually, they don't have a manual safety either. So this is probably, my suspicion is this is an earlier gun. This one came later. This was more of a proof of concept. Let's get the tooling set up for the frame and then make sure that everything works the way we want to. Once it does, then we can go back and add some of the commercial elements like a manual safety and this grip safety. Same basic mechanism on this one, although less refined. As you can see, it doesn't have the safeties. The grip panel is actually broken on this example. Originally, the grip panels are retained by these very thin dovetail cuts. So the idea was you had a matching dovetail on the grip, and it would just slide in from the bottom. And on this one, the dovetail on this side is intact, but this one's all chipped off, which is, by the way, the downside of having that sort of attachment. The Ortgies pistols held the grips on in a similar manner, and not surprisingly, also had lots of broken grips. We have this wedge in the center, but I don't really know how this pistol works, and this wedge is pretty tight in there, so I don't want to go hammering on it to try and get it out. I'll leave that to whoever ends up buying this gun. The front sight's missing. You can actually see the spring guide moving in that front sight slot when I run the charging handle here. It's also interesting that this charging handle can rotate, and you can actually spin it around and kind of lock this piece up, which might have been why they changed the design on this later one to be something that you can't rotate. So that makes some sense right there, doesn't it? Well, there you go, Iver Johnson or whoever. A very interesting set of unusual shaped, but actually remarkably comfortable in the hand .32 automatic pistols. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. This is the last of this series of videos because the auction here at Rock Island starts tomorrow. So if you're watching this after the day it was published, well, the auction's probably already over. But if you have any information on what these two pistols are, I'd love to hear about it because I really don't know, and they look kind of interesting and cool. And if Iver Johnson really was experimenting in this area, I'd like to know more about it. Or if it was some other company, well, I'd like to know more about that too. Now, if you'd like to own either one of these, or both of them, or the two .25 caliber pistols like this that are also in this auction, take a look at the description text below. You'll find links there to the catalog pages on these guys. You can place bids over the web or over the phone or here live in person at the auction. Thanks for watching.